your original sound on.
I did mine. I remember to do it tonight. Yes.
Thanks for the reminder.
Okay. Just a couple minutes here. Let's get that going. All right. I'm going to hide that window because I find it distracting. Hide that. That's going there. Okay. Welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday, February 18th. And we are here with another Improvising Harpist PlayShop. I'm so glad to have you here. If you're watching later, glad you're able to join us watching later. I know a lot of people watch later, more than I expected. A lot more than are here in person. Go and watch later. So we've got people all over the planet who are watching later, people who are working or sleeping or doing something else at this time of day that join us electronically by recording. So here we are. So tonight is a practice session where everybody get to practice some things. But I am going to talk a little bit first because I've been thinking about you and I've been practicing a lot more myself lately, which is a good thing. The school where I work has a Lion and Healy 85E pedal harp, and I have been working on a piece that's a voice and harp with the head of our department, who's a singer. The piece I'm working on is an absolute beast, but it is forcing me to practice and get my feet going and get the pedals going and all of that, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. But when I'm doing my warm-ups, I still do work with this book. I have several other exercise books, but this has been the one that keep going back to after all these years. And I decided I was going to go through page by page and actually play the entire book, which I've never done. I've always selected parts of it that I needed to work on a particular piece. So if I had an arpeggio problem in a particular piece, I would go and do the arpeggio exercises. Or if I had some four-finger problems in a particular piece, I'd go do the four-finger exercises, but I've never played it like front to back. So that's what I'm doing right now, not all in one sitting, although I would like to try that once I get through this. And if you are a pianist and you've played Hanon exercises, this is what she based this on. This is sort of Hanon exercises for the harp. They're very similar in structure. And so I really love Hanon exercises. If you play piano, I recommend that you play some Hanon exercises to strengthen your hand for the harp. I didn't realize until I started doing Hanon exercises myself how important the pinky is to playing the harp. Probably all of us have been told by a harp teacher at some point, you don't play with your pinky, so the end of discussion, and you never talk about the pinky again. But it is still attached to your hand. It doesn't go away just because we're not using it. And it turns out what I discovered by accident by playing Hanon exercises, is that if you strengthen the pinky, you're strengthening the forefinger, you're strengthening the whole hand, and your harp playing gets better as a result. So if you don't play piano, you don't do Hanon exercises, that's fine. But if you do, I highly recommend that you do. So let's get into, this is a follow-on to the February 4th class. Flower wants to say hi. No? You're done? Or do you want to say hi? No? You're done? She just had dinner. Sometimes she has to say thank you after dinner. You're okay? All right. So February 4th, we're talking about phrasing. So I've been thinking about how do I make phrasing easier, and been noticing. I've been taking voice lessons for a number of years, and I sing in a choir, and I'm paying more attention to how do I phrase things when I'm singing, how does this get phrased in a choir, how do I know how to do this, because it wasn't something that I was taught. I didn't go to music school. I have studied with a lot of different teachers, but somehow phrasing seems very natural to me. And I'm like, how did I learn that? And how do I teach you how I know how to do this? So I have been thinking about that. So I'm going to back up also to a session from a couple sessions ago where I was experimenting a little bit with one of the Deborah For You exercises and playing it with different chord progressions. And that seemed like a little, like I needed to unpack that a little bit more as well. So I'm going to do both of those things tonight. We're going to talk about phrasing, and we're going to talk about applying it to different chord progressions. And I'm going to start with the second thing. So if you have Deborah's book, I would like you to take a look. And if you don't, just go get it later. You don't need to go get it right now. But she does a lot of her exercises using a 1-4-5 chord progression. So she'll do the one I was playing this afternoon in my own practice session was the arpeggio exercises starting on page 33. And I will play just a little bit of this for you so that you can hear what I'm talking about. And this relates to phrasing, I promise. It will all come together at the end. And I have a new B string, so let me just check that really quickly. Okay. All right. So this arpeggio, this is a 4-finger exercise. This is in the 4-finger arpeggio exercise section on page 33. And she starts with a C arpeggio. She also throws in inversions, which I also highly recommend you do. So that's a C arpeggio and a bunch of different inversions, and then she plays it again coming down, and then, which I won't do because I want to get on to my what I really want to talk about, and then she goes on to an F. Oops. And then a G. There we go. And then a C again to finish it out. I don't know those inversions as well as I should. So there you go. You get to see me not, learning things as well. So I give you permission to not do it perfectly. But a lot of her exercises in this book, she does them with a 1-4-5 chord progression, C, F, and G. But if you go to the next page, page 35, sorry, not page 35, page 37, she does the same exercises with minor chords. And so I want you to see how she's done that. So here, this is the same exercise, but using 3 different chords. And it goes like this. And then she goes to a D minor, but it starts on an A, so it's in an inverted position. Oops, sorry. And then she does the E minor, and that's starting on a B down here. Same starting note as the G chord, but playing an E minor chords instead. Oops. Get my And placement will help that. And then finishing it off again with the A minor. Good. So I wanted to point this out because I was talking about this a couple weeks ago, but there's a written example for those of you who read music. You can see what it looks like to do the same exercise using different chords. So far, so good? Okay, great. All right, so now we're going to talk about phrasing a little bit more. And I'm going to try to give you a recipe. This is not the only recipe. This is just a recipe. So we're making bread. We're making a certain type of bread. We're not making all bread. We're just making one recipe of bread. So, and it's not sourdough. It's not that complicated. We're going to make a very simple bread. So what I'm going to do to make simple bread is get dice. Highly recommend you get some dice. These are my Yahtzee dice. Yahtzee you play with 5, but I'm going to play with 4 tonight. I have 1 chord per measure. So I'm going to roll my dice here. Okay. I may re-roll my dice, but let's just go with what I've got for now. So I've got 2 6s, a 5, and a 2. So in the key of C, the 6 is the A minor chord. So I've got 2 A minor chords, a G, and a D minor chord. Or you could say 2 Aeolians, a Mixolydian, and a Dorian. You don't have to do them in the order they fell out of your hand. You can put them in a different order. But if you don't know what order to put them in yet, just play them in the order they come out of your hand. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to play 2, 5, 6, 6, and I'm just going to play triads in the root position and just see what happens. And I'm not even doing the metronome yet. I'm just going to just hear what the chords sound like together. So I'm going to do, now I happen to like 3, 4, 6 times, so I'm going to do it in 3. So I'm going to do 1, 2. That's 1 set, 1 die. Here's another set. That's the second die. Then I got to go to the G. And then D minor. Here's the 5. So I'm just doing 2 6s, a 5, a 2. I'm just going to do this for a while. You play along. A minor, G, D minor. 2 A minors. G, D minor, A minor. We'll do a few of these. We'll do a lot of these actually. I'll do 4 more. That's 1, now we're doing 2. This is 3 A minor, 2 A minors. Last one. 2 A minors, then a G. D minor. Back to A minor to finish off. So I've created the phrases by using the dice. That each phrase is these 4 dice together. It could be 2 and 2. But I'm going to say for now, again, I'm making a simple bread. This is what I'm recommending for this particular recipe, these 4 dice. So, oh, thank you, Mary. Mary's writing it out in the chat for us. So if you'd like to have some notes, there it is. Okay, so we've got this going on. So before I move on to a second phrase, I want to play with this a little bit more. And just, you know, the biggest thing I can say about improvisation is experiment. Experiment, 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 test, 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 test. Put on your engineer hat, take your emotion, set it over here. The part that goes, I'm scared, I don't know if it's going to work, is it going to be perfect? All that, set it over here. We're in the lab. Put on your goggles, put on your gloves. Right? Don't worry if it explodes. It's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Harp explosions, other than even string explosions, are not dangerous to us. Maybe dangerous to our ego a little bit. Okay, so I've got my 6-6-5-2 thing going on here. Now I'm just going to try this on some different inversions. So in the left hand is going to stay in the root position, but in the right hand I'm going to go to the first inversion. For all chords, just going to play through all 4 chords just like that and just see how it sounds. You remember what I'm doing. Oops. I keep wanting to come back to the root position. So, but I'm going to stick with this for a little bit here. G, D minor. I'm do it 4 more times. Oops. Here we go. Ready, go. Second time. G. Back to the top. G next. D minor. 3 times here. Or do 4. Last time. Okay, that was interesting. Me personally, I'm like, well, I'm gonna mix them up a little bit. I wouldn't play the whole thing in that inverted position, especially that D minor feels a little weird hopping down. That's just my taste. You may say, I love it. I'm gonna play that. So you should. You should. It's an expression of you. You are an expression of you. You're not an expression of me. You be an expression. You do you, as the kids say. You do you. So I'm like, okay, all right. Question?
You could put
Somebody's got that.
You could put that D minor chord in its first inversion and have it right in the same spot there.
Yep. Exactly where I was going.
Aww. Here we are.
Yes. Okay. So you just did something that is super cool that I learned from a bass player, and I would have never figured it out. Never in a million years would have figured it out if I hadn't been playing in a jazz band with a bass player. But he talked about bass lines that step down or step up and how they help a piece either become grounded or lift up and fly away. But the bass player can do that. And this is why we have another reason why we have inversions. So we could, just playing the chords again, but I'm going to play the A minor in the root position. I'll play it backwards so you can see. Then the second chord is the G. But if I wanted to hop down one more string and play the F, because I'm doing this stepping down bass pattern, then I use the F and the D minor inversion. So the root note is going. So what does that sound like? I'll go back to root position in both hands. So let's see what that sounds. Or well, no, root position, inverted position. So. Stepping down one more. Last time. So I'm intentionally doing, as I'm playing these with you, I'm intentionally doing them in groups of 4. So I've got four die in one group, repeated that 4 times. That's a common way to do phrasing. It works a lot of the times. Yeah, okay, jazz players go out and do crazy stuff, but 7/4 time or whatever. I'm not doing that tonight. But it's also, that's like sourdough bread or challah or something. We're doing basic bread tonight. Okay, so we've got the 4 chords here. And I'm going to write them. Well, Mary's got them written down for me now. So I'm going to call that the A phrase. That's the first phrase in our improvisation, in our tune that we're writing. So I need a second phrase. So I'm going to roll the dice again. Roll me some 7s. Oh, I'm kidding. Oh my gosh. Well, I might re-roll, but this is what I got. I got 3 6s, a 5, and a 6. This is like a really great Yahtzee hand. 3 of a kind, possibly a run coming up, but all right. So I'm going to stick with this because this is what the universe brought me. But you are not required to accept what the universe gives you. You can say, no, I want to roll the dice again and get something different. But this, because it's two 6s and a 5, it's very similar to the first phrase with a 6 on here. Now, it may turn out to be too bland, but we'll find out. Testing. Putting on my goggles, putting on the gloves, getting out the beakers, get the Bunsen burner. And let's try it. So here we've got 2 6s, a 5, and I deliberately put a little pause in there so I could tell the difference between all those 6s. So or I'll do it the other way. So here, that's one complete set, but if I keep going, I could get lost with all those 6s in there. So that's why I put that pause in there. Okay, so now let's put that together with the first phrase. So here's the first phrase. Do it twice. Here's the second phrase. Oh, there we go. Now back to the first phrase. Okay. Well, not bad. maybe some salt,
Get a
little
little bit of
spice.
Scarborough fare in there, so you got some parsley, some sage, some rosemary, some thyme.
Yep, yep, for sure. So yeah, let's add some spices to it. So the inversions can be some spices to that. So just because it's a whole lot of the same chords does not mean it's going to be boring. It can be that you've got a very solid soup base. Now I'm switching to soup. Very solid soup base that I'm going to add various spices to, and maybe some vegetables and a little bit of protein. So what does that look like? What are the spices? This is what's coming in. Though I keep talking about this because this is how I'm writing about it in my cookbook. Like, what are the spices? The spices are tempo, rhythm. You can even change the meter. You could go from 3/4 to 4/4 time in the middle if you wanted to do that. You can do dynamics. There are lots. I have a huge list of these that's coming out in the cookbook of different ideas, different spices that you can put in your pantry. So let's try something that I know I've talked about in the past, which is the left, right, left, right. So just to review what that is, this is in the root position where I play the left note, and then the right note, and then the left note, and then the right note, and the left note. So I'm playing left, right, left, right, left, right. And it takes a little bit of practice, but it's so worth it because it sounds more complicated than it actually is. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of this left, right thing on the first phrase. And just, again, I'm just testing. I've got my goggles on, my glasses. I'm going for it here. And I'm going slow because I want to hear what it sounds like, and also I'm still figuring out the fingering a little bit. Last one. Oop. Okay, so I'll get the left, right thing going. Now I'm going to change back to the inverted position that we did a second ago where I'm doing this. Where I'm doing the A minor in the root position, so backwards, G, and then the D minor in the inverted position. So I'm going, the root note's going A, G, F. All right, so doing. So I got that going, right? I'm liking that. Then the second phrase, which is A minor, G, A minor, I'm going to do this left right thing, but on a different inversion. Still in the root position down here in the left hand. I'm not sure I'm counting that correctly. Let's see. Let me do that again. These are just spices, just options. There's lots and lots and lots of options. One of the things I find not hard, is that I want to do them all. I like them all. I like how it would be like taking all your spices out of your cabinet, putting them all in the soup, because you like them all. And, that's not going to work. You did as a kid, you know, your mom's like, you can experiment in the kitchen. You're like, yay! I did that. I made some really bad macaroni and cheese for a souffle that looked like a smiley face at the end. All tasted terrible because I just would like want to put everything that I liked into the recipe. So being selective and remembering that you can do another one, and you can do another one, and you can do another one, and you can do another. You don't have to do them all together all at once. All right, so now we've got something that has some phrasing to it. This is tonight's discussion is talking about phrasing. So the way I've done it is, again, 4 measures in groups 4 and 2 different sets of phrases, an A phrase and a B phrase that I'm going back and forth with. And then I'm playing with the rhythms of those different phrases to give them variety. That's what we're doing so far. So far, so good? Everybody feeling like that's something you could do? Okay. This is what we're going to do next, is you can take exactly what we've been working on and do your own thing with these. Or you can roll your own dice right now, if you've got them handy, and make something new. But what I would like us to do is spend about, is 8:38 here, so let's say about 7 minutes to like 45, working on something that we can share. And it doesn't have to be a lot, it can be a tiny little bit, but I would like everybody who feels comfortable sharing a little bit. And I will keep playing you can completely free to copy exactly what I'm doing, or do your own thing. Well, let's spend the next, say, 6-7 minutes working on our own thing, and then we'll come back together and play for each other. All right. Okay. Oops. Nope. 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 Okay. Oops. Let's take one more minute. Okay. Let's wrap it up a little bit. No, that's like super short. Just a couple minutes. Oh, I'm just getting it. I'm just getting it. But my goal is just to give you a recipe and go forth and spend time making music. All right. Do we have some brave soul who'd like to share a little bit of what they've worked on? Raise your hand. Yeah, Diane Renee. Unmute yourself.
Okay, well, I found too, if I did the phrase A twice and then the B phrase, and I was trying to go back to doing the A phrase after the B phrase, but sometimes I did the B phrase again. I guess if you're not playing with anything, that's okay.
Right?
Okay.
And yeah, and you're just following your ear. Yeah. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let's see. Wait, here we go. Let's start it again. Kind of short.
Yes! Woo! That's beautiful.
Oh.
That's beautiful. And you did that in less than an hour. We're all doing it in less than an hour.
I have to refine it a little bit to make sure I keep on the pattern. Yeah, yes, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. That's, and this is why I say record yourself, because little things, little accidents will happen. And you're like, ooh, I like that. oh, I want to pop. You tossed in a couple extra notes, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to try that. That sounds really cool. I like that. And the beauty of the harp is really there are almost no wrong notes. There's just there could be some passing tones that are like, but mostly they all work. They all
Yeah.
work. All right. Thank you for sharing. That's super. That's super. Anybody else want to give it a try? Don't be shy. We're very friendly here. We all got our goggles on and our blouse,
I'm just
our Bunsen
using
burners.
the chords. I'm not getting as involved as she did, but I did my own little sort of mental dice throw and came up with two phrases. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Basic bread that
Pretty.
you
That sounded
can
really pretty.
spice up with all kinds of great stuff. Yeah. Thank you,
I like how she
Dennis.
changed the rhythm in the stuff with her right hand, particularly.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I
I
like.
like
I was
that.
just
Yeah.
going
Keep
by
working on that.
feel. I was just feeling what I was coming up with. Yeah.
This is that here. This is my thing. This is my jam. Feel your way through your music. Trust your ears. Trust your fingers. Yeah, fabulous. Somebody, kitty. Is it whose kitty is that? I hear a kitty singing along.
That was
Is
mine.
that
That
you,
was
Dennis?
he's annoying.
Oh.
Time for his evening treats.
Oh. Well, tell him we're getting there. We're almost done. We got a few more minutes together.
I know. Somebody else play.
Yeah. Who else would like to give it a try? Carolyn?
This is very confusing to me, but I'll try it. Right.
Do you have your original sound on, Carolyn?
Oh, I might. There.
Okay, great.
Now it's in the room. It's never the same thing twice.
This is why I say record yourself.
I'm trying to do the root in the left hand and first inversion in the second hand, but I don't know that I'm doing it. So that's what I need more time to synchronize.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm going to mute you. There we go. Okay. When you do your original sound, then I'm feeding back. So I can't talk and have it, yeah, I get confused. But you bring up a really important point, Carolyn, which is that when you're first diving into this, you got to take the time to get it coordinated. And the same way you would be learning a piece that you're reading, you're teaching your hands to do something new. And just be patient with yourself and keep after it, but also recognize that it's okay for it to be different every time because it's your piece. Only you get to say if it's right or not. So yeah, and when you're playing by yourself, which a lot of times we are, you're not coordinating with anybody else. You don't have to worry about, oh, I've got off. The bass player is going to not know where I am. The drummer's not going to know where I am. No, it's all you. You can wander around all you like and still sound beautiful. Still sound wonderful. I love that left and right, moving back and forth with the left and right. That just sounds, even though I know what you're doing, it still sounds so magical and twinkly. And because now when I think about it, I think, okay, well, what you're actually playing, you're playing left, right, left, right, left, right, but what you're actually playing are these really large intervals. So instead of like an interval of a second or a third, you're playing like an interval of a tenth or a twelfth or something like that with between the two different hands. And I'll nerd out for a minute, but the overtones and harmonics that are emitted from those two different strings are doing all kinds of magical, wonderful things that can't or just don't happen when you play the whole chord in one hand with the strings close to each other. So it can achieve a little magic twinkly thing. It's a secret. It's a magic trick. All right. Anybody else want to play? Mary? No? Okay. All right. All right. Lisa?
Sure, I rolled my dice, but I didn't like. You'll hear it. I didn't like the one part. It was the
Very
seventh.
pretty.
It called for the seventh, and I didn't like it. But I thought it's just a practice. I'll just keep it in.
Okay. So you have 7-sided die. How did you get a 7?
I bought an 8-sided dice.
Oh, you did. Oh, very well done. Okay, so let's talk about the 7. So when I learned this, thank you for doing that. I think that's fantastic. So when I learned this, I learned from Stephanie Bieber. She's a wonderful improv teacher in Germany. She does teach in English as well as German, so I recommend taking classes with her when she offers them. And she's on Facebook. You can find her on Facebook. She taught this to me, and I said, well, what about the 7th? And she said, oh, nobody plays the 7th. Just use your 6-sided die. And I'm like, well, okay. But you got 8-sided die, which I love, and you could use the 8 as a 1 also. If you rolled an 8, you could use that as a 1. But let's talk about the 7, because the 7 is an awkward. It's a diminished chord, so it's something that we don't use a lot in Western music. When I learned it as part of the Healing Harp program, Sakura, a Japanese cherry blossom song, was the song that was used to teach that, which is sort of a 7th. So let's talk about some ways to solve the 7th problem where it sounds a little creepy. So one is that you can just dive in and make the whole thing sound creepy. You can make that the root, the basis of your improvisation. But you can also, I have sometimes said, okay, I don't really want a 7th there. I rolled the die. I want to accept that the universe wants me to do a 7, but I'm gonna get around it by adding a G on the bottom, so that it's now a G7 chord rather than a B diminished chord. So that's one way to deal with it. So, I think what I learned when I did that was how closely related the B diminished chord is to the G7 chord, and why that's sort of, to me, why the G7 chord has that tension in it, because embedded in it is that B diminished chord. But let's talk a little bit more about what to do if you say, okay, but I really want that B diminished chord. I really feel like I want to do something with it. If we're going to do cheese and wine pairings here, it pairs well with an A minor. The B diminished chord pairs well with an A minor. So you could do this here. So the tonal center is on an A minor, but the B diminished is in there. When it goes home to the A minor, not to the B diminished. Now, what were your other chords?
I had a 1, 5, 7, 8.
A 1, 5, 7, 8. Okay.
So that's why it
All right.
sounded so
So,
weird.
yeah. Okay. We're in the lab. We got the goggles on. We got the gloves. We got the Bunsen burner. So we're going to do a 1, 5. So 1, 5, 7. Okay. So one thing to know is that the 7 leads back to the 8,
Okay.
just in general. Bum ba da 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 da. That's the 7th. Da da. But I'm not singing in the same key. Sorry. So so you could go from the 7. The 7 also leads back, pairs well with a 1. But that's because it's almost acting like a G7. Like if I played that same exact thing but put a G on the bottom, I'd do, so. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's an option.
We were just practicing and I didn't like it, but I thought we're just practicing, so I'll leave it. But it's nice to know there's other ways to change it so it sounds better.
Yeah. And this, yeah, Candace, you have a yeah, I know you're going to say something amazing.
I was just playing around with it. So with the 1 and the 5 in its second inversion, and then, which is kind of G7y. So using 1, 5, 7, 1. But the 5 is in the second inversion, so you already have the B and the D in there.
That sounds nice too. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for experimenting with us.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you for not giving up on it. And say, oh, well, I don't like the way it sounds, but let's play around with it. Let's, kid and ball with this a little bit. See if we can turn it into something we like. I didn't get into this tonight because the dice rolled themselves into a nice order, but you can always change the order to something better. If the order doesn't feel right, then change it to something else. But you all and everybody else who's listening later know enough about the modes that you could start on any mode. You could start on any note and make that your tonal center. You're not slaves to C major or A minor only. You can also know how to start things in a Dorian mode. You all know how to start things in a Phrygian mode. And that's a nice segue into what we're going to do in our next class, which is I've gotten lots and lots and lots of requests to go back and talk about the modes again. So that's what we'll be talking about in the next class, is just a review of the modes and going deeper. And we'll probably do some. Is this fun tonight? Was this fun? Was this something you enjoyed? Yes. Okay. So we'll do more of this, but we'll do it with the modes specifically, and we'll talk about different modes and different chord combinations that can go nicely together in the next class, which is on the 2 weeks from now. Forget. I'll send it out. I don't have it right in front of me. All right. So your homework is to roll your dice. Get an eight-sided dice. I think yeah. You can go use them for Dungeons and Dragons and some other dice games. So they are available out there. If you search for eight-sided dice, you'll find them. And six-sided dice work fine too. Or you could roll a pair of dice and do numerology and add them up. There's lots of ways to play with this to make it happen. Next PlayShop is March 4th. Thank you, Mary. We'll be doing the modes. And then the next one after that is the 11th, the week after that, because the last 2 weeks I will be in Colorado on spring break. And yeah, we'll want to get together? Okay, yeah, send me a note. And do you know Carolyn? Carolyn, wave your hand again, Carolyn. Carolyn's the secretary of something magical for the Colorado Celtic Harp Society. She's the one who puts together the newsletter and helps put together the retreat that's coming up in the end of June not San Francisco. How nice would that be? In Colorado Springs. So all things going well, I should be there for the retreat this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing those of you who are going to be at the Colorado Springs retreat in the end of June. Okay. Alrighty, I'm going to wrap it up there. I have always learned so much from you guys, and thank you for playing along. Well, before we finish, does anybody else want to play before we wrap up? Sherry, did you want to play? Or Candace, did you want to play? Okay. I can't hear you, but it sounds like maybe later.
I did. I played some notes, and that's...
You played some notes. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Good. All right. Good. I want to make sure everybody had a chance to play who wanted to play. All right. So I hope this is inspiring for you and gives you some things to try. And as time goes on, I hope you feel more and more sense of community with each other, and that somehow removes some of the fear out of this, that you've seen how it's possible to do some pretty simple things and make up your own music and make up some improvisations out of this stuff. That's my goal.
Getting braver and playing to other people.
Yay! I'm so happy. That makes me really happy, Dennis. That makes me really happy. Okay.
This felt
you too?
like sort of a meditation, which seems like a really good thing to do these days when I'm feeling sort of overwhelmed. Instead of scrolling through the news, I think I'll just go play with 4 dice.
Go play with your dice. Yeah, go play with your dice. Scroll through the dice. I need to do that myself more.
Gamble on playing the harp.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you all for being here. And as always, reach out to me if you have questions or comments and things you'd like me to talk about, topics that, questions you have as you go along. I'm delighted always to answer them. And yeah, I'll see you in a couple weeks and see you out on the Facebook group. Have a great evening.